Hi, welcome to Keana Sky Speaks Studios, Keana Sky Speaks podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about my personal spiritual journey. My spiritual journey starts with Christianity and ends with my own path. From Christianity to spiritual exploration, I speak about my burnout and my awakening. So, I really feel called to share this personal chapter of my life on my YouTube because I feel others can be benefited from my story. My journey of faith, spiritual experiences, and burnout and transformation shows my spiritual growth throughout since I started in 2021. I moved from structured religion into personal spirituality, really a wide open birth of believing these things. I used to believe that Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the light. Nothing comes through him except the Father. But I believe now that we are all divine. We are all like Jesus in a way. We're all teachers, spiritual leaders. Not all of us, but some of us. And a lot of us are put on this earth to be the same exact thing Jesus was. And what I believe Jesus was a divine a divine being who came down to help raise the consciousness of the collective, which is what I do. I believe that he's just a spiritual teacher, and it was all misconstrued, and the Bible is just different to me than it used to be. I believe in some of it and I really cherish some of it, but I believe that the Bible is manipulation from people that want you to believe and think a certain thing and want you to believe that this is the only way of living. I don't believe that anymore. I was raised in Christianity, although I'll give my family credit. It wasn't so strict Christianity. It I could be able to be myself most of the time, but once I started questioning things like the validity of Jesus and certain things in the Bible, I couldn't question anything in my church and school. At home, I could question things, but it was like if I question this and I don't believe it, then I'm not doing something right. So my faith provided comfort, discipline, and moral guidance. I feel like the Christianity and the church and school I went to, it gave me structure, it gave me discipline, and it helped me to grow a little bit. And I learned to understand God through church and teachings and community. And it wasn't really personal. Like I got to know God as just this businessman who's up in the sky. That's who I thought God was for a really long time. And I didn't want anything to do with that after I, you know, got out of high school and started figuring things out on my own. And over time, I began to feel internal shifts in my belief and perception. I started, like, my spiritual gifts started opening up after high school. And it was happening at a church that I went to. And I kept seeing signs and wonders. And, that's crazy because Jesus did signs and wonders. And I said I saw those and they thought I was crazy. So so here we go. Spiritual sensitivity and my inner experiences. I began to experience heightened intuition and perception. So I walked into a room and I immediately felt the energy, which it scared me at first. I'm like, what is this? It's people. It's people's energy. I felt stronger inner guidance and symbolic meaning in dreams and emotions. I would have dreams about situations before they would happen, then they would happen and I would know what to do. I would tell my family and they said that that's not possible, that I don't have any powers, and oof. Um, I do believe that my family, my mom and my dad, who adopted me, they meant well, but they don't believe that we're divine like Jesus. I felt a strong inner guidance. Yep. And I experienced things that felt beyond the ordinary explanation. Like things would happen and I wouldn't be able to explain it out loud. It would just be open ended and it would be explained. I wouldn't even explain it because it was beyond that. And it happened to me a lot. It created confusion between personal experience and a learned belief system because I used to say, this just comes from my personal experience. I don't know what to tell you. And people would be like, well, I didn't experience that, so it's not true. So, fast forward out of Christianity, out of high school, into a little bit of my adulthood. I think about 20, 24, 25 around here. I started living with my best friend while caring for her child, her dogs, her cat, or it was just dogs. And it was overwhelming to say the least. Lived in a small, cramped apartment, and then it just took an emotional and physical toll on me. And it was looked at as, oh wow, you're crazy. We got to send you to the psych ward. And I slowly became mentally overwhelmed. My throat chakra was closed. I couldn't communicate this, and then I was burned out and I was emotionally unstable. So I had to go to the psych ward. This is where my crisis point started, at the psych ward at Havenwick Hospital. I entered Havenwick Hospital during a mental crisis period. Shoot, this was so intense, like, and overwhelming. And it was like my own physical awakening in the psych ward, but it was like creepy. It was crazy. I was seeing angels and other things that weren't angels, like demons, and we won't go into that. I felt misunderstood. Of course I did, and labeled, processed through a clinical system. This was the worst point in my life. Like, this was my breaking point. I emotionally experienced it as a breaking point, and it forced me to just pause and look at my life. Also, my parents were out of town while I was in the psych ward, and they came back and got me at the end, but them leaving like left like emotional scars in me because if I had a child, I would like be there. I would like go to the psych ward like right away because I don't want my kid to go through the psych ward ever by themselves and feel like they're alone. And that took a toll on my mental and physical, emotional health. And I was in there for a month. I went in there like at June 20th, and then I got out at like July 20th. And I was supposed to only be there for 7 days, but I was in bad shape. I was in awful shape. And Havenwick Hospital in Auburn Hills is awful if you want to heal. So it took me a long time because of everything that was happening, the crazy people that entered, and the things that they did and that I saw. It was awful. And I would have spiritual experiences and people who connected to me. Also, I had like three friends that I connected with that had the same experience as I did. We had good conversations. People tried to run after me, start fights with me, and then one day I just went back at somebody, and I kind of did it on purpose just to see what they would do to me. I'm not going to lie, but I was also very unstable, so I went and I pretended, I guess, to like punch somebody, and like they took me back and they shot me with Ativan, and I was out for like the whole night, and then the rest of the day they didn't even wake me up. And I'm like, wow, this is what they do. All right, well, I'll remember not to do that again. But I was very unstable emotionally, and somebody was really getting on my nerves, and I never do this. This is not me. I was just going through a mental time. And this Havenwick Hospital, it helped me get back because they put me on meds. They they said, I'll get you back to normal with meds. So that phase is over, but I just wanted to share that. I wanted to reframe my experience. So during this period, I began to reflect deeply on my identity and beliefs. So when I was in Havenwick Hospital, I realized that I'm not all about Jesus. I'm not all about Christianity. This religion isn't working for me. I experienced it as a turning point for self awareness, and I introspected the whole time I was there. I questioned everything about myself and anyone that I was involved with. And this was a deeper personal transformation for me, this place. It was kind of like a rehab of to life. Not I was not over my alcohol addiction yet, but I had taken a hiatus from it because when I was living with my friend I couldn't drink. So I was sober, but also I was still emotionally and mentally unstable from living with somebody who was crazy and narcissistic. So I moved away from solely relying on external belief systems. I began to trust in my own inner voice and my intuition more deeply, and I explored spirituality outside of my structured religions. I started grabbing from all religions. The first religion that I ever looked at after Christianity was Baha'i, which is Baha'i. Baha'i faith is a 19th century monotheistic religion founded in Persia. It emphasizes spiritual unity of all humankind, teaching that there is one God and that all major religions share the same foundational divine source. It's kind of what I believe now, but I'm not into religion and churches. And Baha'i faith have churches and I'm just not into it anymore. I used to look at it, I was like, okay, like this is interesting, but I'm my own person. I believe my own things and I don't need an external religion to consolidate that. So I experienced a lot of emotional and social changes after I got out of that psych ward and changed my life. This relationship with this best friend, it was gone because she disrespected me. She let me be sent to the psych ward and stay there alone and then left the state. Same with my parents, left the city, left the town, and left me. So I knew these people weren't good for me. So I left the the faith, and when I left, people reacted differently to my shifts. Some people stayed, some people went. And my identity and belief changed, so did the people that surrounded me. So it's not like I can't hang out with a Christian, but I can't be their best friend. And it's not because like I don't want to be their best friend, it's because they think that they're sinning by hanging out with me. And they don't like what I do for a living, which is now I am a spiritual teacher. I like to be a spiritual guide, not a teacher. Spiritual guide and just a psychic and a medium, and that is not what Christians like. And it's fine. They don't have to like that. But they also don't pay my bills, so I'm going to keep doing it. And then I experienced a lot of judgment, misunderstanding, separation. Like some of my best friends told me they didn't like my lifestyle. They were uncomfortable with me talking about what I do. And so I said, okay, these relationships, if they don't want it, then neither do I. So I just stepped away from the people who didn't listen to me and only wanted to listen to their Christian rhetoric. That's all I'll say about that. And then I learned to accept loss as a part of growth. I learned to accept loss as a part of growth. So losing these people was just moving me towards growing more, growing and evolving into the person, the highest version of myself that I needed to be. And then I rebuilt myself. I exploring spirituality in a more personal, intuitive way now. I'm finding meaning in my dreams and symbols and internal guidance. I feel more connected to my inner world and self awareness. I'm happier. I'm rebuilding outside of old structures, coming out of the rigidity of Christianity, of religion, and I'm deciding to embrace self-awareness, internal guidance, and this is intuitive for me. I am really into intuitive and trusting myself, and it's not what I was taught, but I'm stepping out of what was taught and what I now believe is separate, but I can learn a lot from what I learned in Christianity. Christianity shaped the way I believe things about people, about loving. I just don't, that's not my religion anymore. But Christianity really, really taught me how to love unconditionally. That's like the one big main point that Christianity taught me. And then I was learning to accept my experiences without shame. I'm learning that still. I'm understanding burnout crisis and reflection is just a part of growth. Choosing self awareness over external approval. Don't care about what you think, you don't pay my bills, kind of thing, you know? And then I came more grounded in my personal truth to myself in my own lane, you know? And I used to so much hold on to people's opinions, what they thought, what I'm doing, and like, oh, I think I should shave my leg this way, and they think they should shave their legs that way, and like, let me shave my leg the way I want to, leave your legs to you. That's the example I got. So the closing reflections are: my journey includes both struggle and transformation. Very important. Without my struggle, I wouldn't be able to be here today. Without transformation, I wouldn't have changed into the person who I am now. The psych ward experience became a major turning point in my life story. It was not just an awful experience, it was a spiritual experience that helped me learn and grow. And even though it was awful in there, I am alive today to still tell the story about it. I continue to grow and learn, and I redefine my understanding of spirituality. This is my path of becoming more aligned with myself. My journey is about me and how I changed from one thing to another. And I really hope you enjoyed my podcast about my personal journey, transformation from Christianity to just following my own path. I hope you have a great day, and remember to click like, leave a comment if this resonated, and subscribe. See you.